Welcome back to Project 82, the SCP Remote Access Database. Which case file do you require?
Item number SCP-416. Object Class Euclid. Owing to its anomalous topographic structure and the danger it poses to civilians, it is essential that SCP-416 be sequestered from the public. Though SCP-416's true borders have yet to be exactly mapped, SCP Overwatch has, in cooperation with the government, restricted foot access and instituted a no-fly zone within 5 kilometers from the boundaries measured by the initial observation team. SCP-416 is an oblong area of forest located in northern. Though its true borders are not known, and indeed may be in a constant state of flux, estimates place its center at degrees north, degrees west. It displays remarkable spatial anomalies, the most notable of which is that once entered, it is impossible to leave on foot. The only personnel to escape the area inside SCP-416 were extracted by an aerial reconnaissance team. Though from the air SCP-416 appears identical to the surrounding coniferous forests, it displays a bewildering array of plant life, species as varied as Joshua trees, Yucca brevifolia, Grenadier's baobab, Adansonia grenadieri, Walemi pine, Wallemia nobilis, and manchineal trees, Hippomane manzanella, have been observed. No explanation has been offered as to how these species arrived and propagated. All observations indicate that SCP-416 is entirely devoid of animal, fungal, or insect life. Personnel deployed inside SCP-416 report that the entire area is continuously overcast with fog, despite satellite evidence to the contrary. Exploratory records. Local geographical surveyors reported a sudden seismic event coming from the area now known as SCP-416. The Foundation was alerted after the surveyors reported anomalous topographical features. D-Class personnel were fitted with GPS trackers and tasked with walking across the entire area of SCP-416. Though the subjects reported that they maintained a constant speed, their movement speed relative to the area outside SCP-416 slowed dramatically as the subjects ventured further in. The deployed personnel were unable to reach the epicenter of the seismic event. The subjects reported no indication of backtracking on their part. It appears that SCP-416 may be infinite in area to observers located within it. The D-Class personnel forced to endure prolonged stays inside SCP-416 have developed a wide array of mental instabilities, ranging from depression and post-traumatic stress disorder to catatonia, hallucinations, and psychosis. Topological analysis. A team of physicists assigned to analyze the topographical anomalies associated with this SCP concluded that it appears to be the three-dimensional intersection of a six-dimensional Calabi-Yau manifold with the surface of the Earth. Research is still being conducted as to what force maintains this intersection, though speculation abounds that it is related to the object or objects at the center of SCP-416. Addendum 04-5. SCP-416 is being considered as a storage location for several movable, safe, and Euclid-level SCPs, specifically.
Case file ends. Which case file do you require?
Item number SCP-421. Object Class Euclid. SCP-421 is contained near Sector 28 by means of a steel anti-submarine net positioned across the mouth of the bay, found at degrees north, degrees west. The net is to be examined for damage weekly by Sector 28 staff or immediately upon observation of abnormal behavior of SCP-421. Civilian shipping should be prevented from entering the bay. Nautical charts have been altered to indicate the presence of subsurface rocks dangerous to vessels throughout the area. The bay containing SCP-421 has been dredged by Foundation vessels to allow for simulation of a deep-sea environment, as it is believed this encourages SCP-421 to remain docile. SCP-421 should be fed on a bi-monthly basis. Standard feed consists of a wooden fishing vessel, typically at least 15 meters in length and preferably in a dilapidated condition. The feed vessel should be floated out into the middle of the SCP-421 bay before being scuttled. It is noted that SCP-421 could theoretically consume significantly more material than it is currently provided with. Current feeding protocols are designed to maintain the total mass of SCP-421 at the present level. SCP-421 is an organism comprised entirely of driftwood and other oceanic waste. The exact configuration of the organism appears to be in constant flux, but typically consists of a centralized body of relatively tightly packed driftwood surrounded by a shoal of smaller organisms similar in appearance and behavior to fish. Individual members of the shoal are regularly subsumed or created from the main body and have demonstrated no ability to reconfigure themselves while separated from the bulk of SCP-421. It is hypothesized that SCP-421 possesses a hive intelligence similar to that observed in social insects. Members of the SCP-421 shoal are able to travel independently for kilometers, beyond which they lose integrity and are reduced to simple driftwood with no known anomalous properties. Though typically docile, SCP-421 requires a regular supply of fresh wood to maintain its mass. The role of the shoal appears to be to locate suitable material and transport it to the main body, within which it rapidly becomes indistinguishable from the wider mass of driftwood. Sources of this wood vary. SCP-421 has been observed harvesting wood from shipwrecks and collecting material floating at the ocean surface. SCP-421 has also been recorded assaulting ships, with the shoal typically ramming against a single point below the waterline until the target capsizes before stripping the vessel of all wooden components within reach. SCP-421 was first encountered in 1970 following the unexplained destruction of a yacht owned by survivors reported sailing through an unexpected mass of driftwood that appeared to be moving against the prevailing current. Soon after initial contact with the mass, the yacht was hauled and rapidly began to sink. Reports that the driftwood appeared to be dragging parts of the yacht beneath the surface were dismissed by local investigators, but attracted the attention of the Foundation, who assumed responsibility for the case. An extensive underwater survey eventually found some traces of the wreck of the yacht, and estimated 80% of the vessel's wooden structure was missing. Sporadic reports of similar incidents continued through the next 2 decades, during which time SCP-421 is believed to have been responsible for the loss of 2 vessels a year. SCP-421 was captured in 1990 and moved to its current containment location. Since this date, reports of events similar to its attacks have been recorded. It is speculated that at least one more wild shoal still exists. Addendum 421-A. During scheduled feeding on 2000, anomalous behavior by SCP-421 was recorded. The shoal harvesting the provided wreck was estimated as 50% larger than normal, resulting in a far quicker assimilation of material into the main body of the SCP. Subsequent monitoring of SCP-421 revealed that the central mass had condensed into a denser configuration than normal, and that the feeding shoal did not subsequently rejoin it, instead remaining in close proximity as a cloud surrounding the main body. 2 days after the initial observation of anomalous behavior, the central mass of SCP-421 was recorded settling close to the seafloor. A part of the shoal was observed to leave the cloud and begin moving around the compound in what has been described as an exploratory pattern, seemingly in an effort to retrieve any material not yet subsumed into SCP-421. Though it had decreased in density since the feeding, ultrasound monitoring of the main body appeared to indicate the formation of a solid structure within it, distinguishable from the standard mass of SCP-421 as not being in constant motion. On this basis, authorization was granted for the use of an ROV to examine the interior of the central mass. Upon deployment of ROV, the SCP-421 shoal appeared to become agitated. ROV was able to successfully penetrate the outer cloud surrounding the main body of SCP-421. Contact was lost soon after. The wreckage of the ROV was subsequently drawn into the central mass of SCP-421. This is believed to be the first time SCP-421 has damaged a non-wooden vessel. Investigation is ongoing.
Case file ends. Which case file do you require?
Item number SCP-423. Object class safe. SCP-423 is contained in a 5 meter by 5 meter room containing 3 2 meter by 3 meter bookshelves. An incinerator is located adjacent. All personnel entering or leaving the room are to be searched for written material. Any written material must be checked for any trace of SCP-423 and then, if found clean, incinerated. At night, SCP-423 is to remain in a small plain journal marked 423. Failure to remain in this journal at designated times will result in loss of reading material outside of scheduled experiments. SCP-423 has no physical form. It appears to exist entirely within textual narratives. It was discovered in a used bookstore in Texas on 19 in a copy of Tom Sawyer. The book was purchased by Agent who located it during a routine search. Agent brought the book back to Sector 28 as instructed. The book seemed perfectly normal except for the inclusion of a character named Fred, who was not known to exist in any other version of the story. However, it was not until it was left by a copy of Moby Dick that the anomalous nature of SCP-423 became clear. SCP-423 is able to enter textual narratives, inserting itself as a minor character. The details of the character vary from story to story, but it is always named Fred or something similar, and its role in the story is usually minor. Physical descriptions of the character are rare, but it usually appears as a human male of average height and middle years. However, this can change depending on the nature of the narrative. He has appeared as a student in narratives focusing on children, and thus presumably of an appropriate age, or even as a non-human in narratives where humans are absent or rare. At no time is his appearance remarked on as being unusual by other characters. SCP-423 is able to move from one narrative to another voluntarily, provided the two works are within 1 meter of each other. The process takes up to 3 minutes, depending on the length of the new narrative. The entire narrative changes at once, the text on all pages seeming to move. Occasionally, the length of the narrative changes. In these cases, the text grows smaller or larger to fit the page count of the book. It is only able to appear in physical textual narratives. It cannot enter electronic storage or affect purely visual narratives. If placed in proximity to a graphic novel or other form of sequential art, it will change the text boxes and dialog bubbles, but will not affect the pictures. Similarly, illustrations in a textual narrative do not change, even if they no longer match up to the narrative as affected by SCP-423. It prefers fictional narratives. However, it can enter any narrative that has characters including anecdotes, biographies, and research notes. See Addendum 423-1. It can re-enter a narrative that it has already exited. If it does so, the new narrative typically differs from the last time SCP-423 entered the story. However, it has displayed a preference for narratives it has not yet entered. It is currently unknown what effect dying in a narrative would have upon SCP-423, despite the best effort of researchers. SCP-423 displays a strong grasp of narrative principles, and is usually able to predict the best response in a given circumstance to avoid danger to itself. It has, however, displayed minor injuries. However, these seem to vanish when it enters a new narrative. SCP-423 can be communicated with by coaxing it into a journal. It responds to questions written within, with SCP-423's responses appearing underneath the questions. When it transfers to another narrative, its responses disappear from the journal. It has been largely cooperative since its containment. Its only requests so far have been more narratives. It has expressed a preference for narratives with a large number of background characters, as this makes it easier for it to blend in and watch the good stuff. It has been recommended that, should it become uncooperative, it be confined to the journal until it becomes more amenable to staff requests. Researchers who desire more information on SCP-423 should read Experiment Log 423-A. Have you all read the Experiment Log before? No? Oh, you absolutely should. It's far too long for today, but it is a hoot. I have never laughed at an Experiment Log. This had me howling. You absolutely should read it. Apologies. Addendum 423-1. Researchers are reminded that all physical written material is a potential habitat for 423, and that all notes should therefore be taken electronically. If written notes must, for some reason, be taken, be sure to check for addenda from guest researcher Fred. Addendum 423-2. The use of SCP-583 to destroy SCP-423 has been suggested. While the SCP is not slated for destruction at the present time, it has been noted should circumstances change.
Thank you for your participation in Project 82, transmitting psychoanalytic data to Dr.